Hello, I am re-recording the introductory video for your course because you couldn't hear me, but I've got a microphone now, and I will continue to use this so you can actually hear what I'm saying instead of just look at me wildly wave my hands about. So welcome to the course. My name is John. I am going to tell you some, about some of the content we'll be covering in the class. Also, the motivation for the class. I'm sure you know why it's important, but I'll say a little bit more about why and what we're going to do and how. It's important that I explain early on, I think, my pedagogy style because it might be a little peculiar. You may not have experienced the sort of teaching approach. But let me spend a little bit of time to tell you what that is today. So before that, though, I should say I am a logician, not a magician. Starts with L-O, not M-A, although I do know some tricks. I'll try to give you some of those as we progress. I study formal reasoning. I study rationality, stuff like that. This is not a logic class, but a lot of my teaching approach and the way I think about content is informed by logic. This is not to say that I think it's the one way to go. Mostly just provides me tools in the toolkit, which I'm going to try to teach you as we work through some rather difficult material. Now, I typically in class will be in front of you being entertaining and look at all this, isn't it great, let's think hard about this stuff, and motivating you in that respect while we do group work, and instead of having you read a lot of dense material which was written by people who spent years crafting this paper, almost odd to expect that you would get too much out of it. Instead of doing that, in class, I will usually go over some of the major points of the readings and then pose progressively more challenging questions to you in class as we work together in groups to answer them. And I would pop around in class and help you, guide you here and there to help you get the most out of your approaches to answering them. And then we would share that stuff. So we can't really do that here. But what we can do is when we meet in class, I can propose the questions and I can have you put in or enter into breakout rooms randomly assigned where you can work with some of your peers, get to know them, and try to answer these questions during class time. So in class before that, I would usually give you somewhat miniature lectures to get you up to speed on the content of the readings so that you would have that in your back pocket while you were attempting to answer the questions. Don't really want to spend that much time doing that in video. So what I'm going to do now is instead, since this is since we're doing this remotely, I'm going to record lectures no longer than an hour. Try to keep them as short as possible, which you can look at your leisure, hopefully before we meet in class, because those will provide you the background you need to really jump into the questions that we do cover when we meet. I'm going to also provide PowerPoint slides with those. In fact, you won't really see me talking so much. You'll see, you'll hear me, but you'll see the PowerPoint slides, and I'll be talking through those. And I'll also make those slides available so you can look at them without, my voiceover work. So that was that. Oh, one other thing. I typically will hit the same material in different ways, spaced out at different points of the course. This is sort of a way in which I've found is useful to get you to pull content of the class from your long-term memory at different stages of the course, so that you don't have to go back and do readings again or go back and look at old lectures. It's my way of massaging the information into your brain when we're together, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time outside of class thinking about the content, but nevertheless you'll get it. I really don't want you to have to spend too much time out of the class. Most of the work will be you listen to the lecture, and then in class we do the group work. And if you come and you focus with me on that stuff for again, no more than an hour for the lecture, and then no more than 2 hours. I don't think I mentioned that, but I did now. So no more than 2 hours for the group work. per week, then I think you'll be fine. We'll also be doing some discussion boards. These are more like summary, have you reflect on what you're getting and what you're not getting out of the content. And we will revisit these, or like earlier discussion boards later in the class again and again. So you have, an idea of where you're going and where you've been. I think it's pretty important for you to be able to see what you've learned and what you haven't learned as we progress. It also is helpful for me to have it in a discussion board format so I can see what you're getting out of the class. Because if, for instance, if a lot of students aren't getting much, that's on me. I got to do something to change it. I want you to get a lot out of this. It's important material. What else? We'll try to do the discussion boards during that 2-hour span of group work. So again, I don't want you to spend a lot of time outside of the time we meet or that lecture the lectures I'm gonna make. I'd rather you just I'd rather just pack it on in a small amount of time and maximize the sort of benefits you're getting from the class time we spend together, because I know you're busy. Everybody's busy. Work smarter, not harder, right? So let's see, what else? I think that's so far as it, except for this one little tag on here, which is peculiar to this course, which is covering the philosophy of race and racism in the U.S. in particular, although we're going to expand a little bit some of the content and think about how race and racism operates in other spheres of the world. You're probably no doubt wondering this, white elephant in the room. Why is this dude teaching me about this material? We shouldn't shy away from this question. It's very important. So I want to first say it's not because other people can't, and it's not because we don't. The Art Institute doesn't have people from say more diverse backgrounds ready and willing and able to teach this sort of stuff. So I am teaching it, though, because I do have, despite, my obvious privilege, I do have something to say about this topic. And I have been saying it, and I've been publishing on it and thinking a lot about it. Where I'm coming from is, I guess could say this. I can't, of course, speak from the position of anyone from a marginalized group in the sort of sense that we'll be discussing a lot in class. So more concretely, I cannot tell you what it's like to be a black woman in the United States, and I will not try to. What I will do, though, is try to bring in some of my background to help discuss nearby issues that individuals from marginalized backgrounds in the U.S. have experienced that I'm familiar with. So I am from a very poor background. Grew up in a trailer park. Did not have any money. I was often hungry, often worried about where the next meal was coming from. Most of my family actually still lives in that environment. I dropped out of school when I was 19. No, what is it? 9th grade. However old you are, when you're starting 9th grade, that's when I dropped out. And I didn't start college until I was 22, and that was sort of like on a lark because I needed a GED to get a job that I was trying to get. And I was encouraged to go to college. The GED people were like, "Oh, you're bright," and so I was like, "Cool." I actually didn't think you could go to college if you dropped out of high school. So they were like, "Go to college." I'm like, I don't think I can. Like, well, that's weird of you to say. So I was very ignorant. Now I've kind of it's been a slow climb up here now. I'm in, Northwestern. Wow, again in Chicago. This is not Georgia. So I've seen a lot from a class background. I've had a lot of experiences of, I'll say marginalization adjacent or racial marginalization adjacent phenomena. Again, I am not at all trying to compare apples to oranges. But what I'm saying is there are intersections of oppression, which we'll discuss, for people of non-white races in the United States, and they all bundle together and magnify issues that these individuals experience. And I don't know what all of that bundle is like. I know what some of those bundles are like. I also was, You'll find I'm somewhat of a textbook overshare, but I was also pretty roughly abused until I was like 13. I was taken out of the home, in fact. So from 1 to 13, or 0 to 13, it was a stepfather situation. So he wasn't there when I was born, but he was there from 1 on. It was pretty rough. Rough enough, again, just to emphasize, to be taken out of the home. So I say sometimes, and I think this is true, I do somewhat have an appetite for pain and a taste for pleasure, the taste being something I've learned over time. Whereas you may have antecedently expected that if I were to, pitch this, that I might have an appetite for comfort and maybe a taste for pain because I read the news or something. Now, it's actually the reverse. So I will be talking much more of that. These sort of experiences influence how I engage with the material. But just emphasizing again here, I'm not at all going to try to speak from the positions of almost everyone that we're reading or thinking about in this class. I can talk about adjacent harms and adjacent trauma and adjacent difficulty, and I will do my best not to overextend. Now, I think we can still talk about a lot of important content that way. Now, I will need your help though, because I'm ignorant, right? And I don't have to experience the sorts of difficulties that many people do. In fact, I'm sure several of you, or most of you, don't experience the difficulties others in class will, for better or worse. So we're going to need to make progress on this, cobble these experiences together, and be able to discuss this stuff sensitively and securely in a comfortable environment if we want to make progress on that. Now, I'm going to do my best to cultivate that sort of environment, and I have no doubt, having taught this before at the Art Institute, that others in class will do the same. But that is where I'm coming from, what I expect, and hopefully also gives you a taste of what to expect as we go forward, and more anon. So I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. Okay.